10-minute strategy. My name is Peter Propp. I am having a really good time interviewing interesting people. And today we're going to be talking with Scott Hall, who is the co-founder and CEO of a company called AltHub. Why don't we just kick it off, Scott, and you can give us the shortest version of what AltHub does, and then we can peel it back a bit.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. We're very focused on data monetization, which is taking data from all these different industries. These companies create interesting data for their core market and transforming it into financial data. So something that can be sold by those companies to asset managers, hedge funds, banks, opening up another revenue stream for their data.
Excellent. And so you're in the financial data market is sort of what you're a
Correct.
part of, and I know there's a number of other players in there, and you're the difference for you is that you're helping people generate ancillary income from data that they're collecting along the way, right? In their basic operations,
Yeah.
there's a lot of data being generated by businesses. Is there value if we pack it up and market it?
And there definitely is. I mean, the financial data market has been around for, I would say, about 10 years plus. It is already this in 2025, I think, crossed about $7 billion as a market. It's growing very fast. It's actually could be the largest data market, exceeding advertising
Hmm.
in the next few years, which is a $30 billion market. And what's so cool is these companies are small companies all the way up to the largest tier ones. Think of supermarket chains that have interesting data that can be aggregated and sold for insights for investors. It's not about the person that's shopping at the store. It's more about how many people had this behavior today, and is
Mhm.
that a trend that they like these sneakers, they like this clothing line, and that's going to be good for an investor to own those stocks.
Right, right. And so, do you have any rules of thumb for how much value might be in a company's data?
Yeah, it's such a great question. There were a few things that usually play well. It is good to have some history. So the company being around for a few years collecting information, because in the financial world, you generally need 3 years minimum to have a trend line to trust it for an
Mhm.
investment.
Sure.
Some can be a little shorter. People really like it if you have 5 years. Actually, some people now are saying you really need to be post-COVID because the world changed so much. So
Hmm.
5 years is a good view back. And it's good that your data lines up with many publicly traded companies. So like supermarkets, when you go down those aisles, those are many different, hundreds of
Sure.
different companies that own that cereal brand, that
Right.
beverage brand, things like that. It's good to have generally a lot of brands you line up with. And then obviously the depth of your insight. If you have a really good visibility on something that drives the future revenue forecast of that company, very valuable.
Right. And so, what's the smallest check you're seeing some of these companies take in? What's the biggest?
Wow, it's such a range, and it's probably some of those metrics before. Some of our clients, are generating 500,000 in the space, sort of on the lower end. The high end is there are companies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars in our
Wow.
space. Credit card data is considered one of the most probably uh, largest revenue pieces in our market because it represents quite a lot of companies. It obviously represents an estimate of what future revenue that company's getting based on credit card purchases. So that one's probably 500 million plus by itself.
Okay. So say I'm a company that has 5 years of data, and I work with some interesting brands, and my data is in relatively good shape. What's the process for me to get going in producing a data pocket? It's a data lake, I believe, that you're producing, correct?
Well, we're taking your data lake and
Right,
effectively creating another data lake that is
right,
for financial. And it's a great question. So the process we've is really the thesis of AltHub. We have tried to make that easy on you, very time efficient. Actually, in about 8 to 12 weeks, we can generally from start create a product. So we got to take your file in, change the format so it's the way a financial analyst would consume it. for this market. We tickerize it, which what that means is we link it to your data, your brands to publicly traded companies,
Right.
which is the language of the investment community. We actually aggregate your data, which means it's rolled up. It's more about 10,000 people did something today, nothing to do with individuals. So what's interesting is this data is actually less legal issues than sometimes advertising data, which is at the device level or could be more personal information level. And the last part we do is we impersonate a buyer in modeling and testing to see what the performance and verify that it can be run. So we can create a product, a viable product, quite quickly, and then you can enter the market, within 3 months or less.
Got it. And uh, is there a possibility that the data might be relatively real time, like within a week, or how does that work?
Yeah, most of our providers do daily updates, so it's
Okay.
a 1 day lag. That's the
Oh wow.
market average. There are some people who are selling intraday data, but that's a bit rare. It's usually a daily, at the most a weekly lag.
Hmm. Really cool. So, and then the you guys are you have a product to host this refined data lake so that other companies can subscribe to it. And then you're also sort of consulting and advising along the way and refining the data on behalf of the client.
Yeah, so in that case of you having this data product, we're effectively our client. We are as a technology platform creating this product, this extra data lake, as we mentioned. It's you contracting with the buyers because that has to be that way because it's your IP, your data, and the licensing has to be very direct. So we're not playing a reseller role. There are other companies that can do that in the market. We're really here to help build your financial data product rapidly and get it in the market for you. So you can open up another door to the second largest data market today, but soon to be, I think, the largest.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, it sounds like you've built a clever business, and I'm sure your customers are excited to have a little extra money. And it's really once they've built this lake, it's really uh, pure profit. I assume.
Very high margin. We've
Yeah.
made a big difference. For sometimes mid to small companies, this can be a difference between very low margin businesses becoming quite profitable. And then for big companies, it can be sizable. So
Right.
yeah, it's an exciting space. We love data. Love to meet any company with interesting data, and we're happy to have a quick chat. Is it ready for the financial market and let's go, or does it need to build out a bit further?
Excellent. Well, we'll put the URL to your business in the
Thank
posting I
you.
do, which will be up on LinkedIn and eventually on YouTube. But Scott, this is really fun. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Really appreciate the podcast here.
All right, take it easy.
Bye bye.
Bye.